With the brand new season around the corner, there are bound to be a handful of rookie players that make their impact heard throughout the pro Valorant landscape, such as last Rookie of the Year, Demon1. So I wanted to dive into 5 little-known players that are making their franchise league debut this year, who will come out of nowhere and dominate with their new teams. But before I do that, make sure you subscribe, as we'll be continuing to create interesting videos about the current happenings all season. Alright, let's get into the first unknown player. Xcrit from T1. He is not only the older brother of Paper Rex's Forsaken, but also a legendary opera in the Indonesian CSGO scene since 2015. He has played on a few Tier 2 orgs for a couple of early Indonesian Challengers qualifiers during the 2021-2022 seasons, but never really took a dive into the esport, and to a Valorant audience is still considered an unknown rookie. But once he starts playing on T1 this year, that will quickly change, as Xcrit looks to port his CSGO abilities into Pro Valorant right away as a member of this new T1 team that looks to improve from last year's 3rd place finish in the Pacific and 2 early exits in Masters Tokyo and Champions. But how exactly will Xcrit fit in this new roster? Well, as a dedicated opper for so many years, he's been trying to find the right agents to utilize this ability. This means a lot of Chamber recently, as well as playing smokes for the team as Astra or Brim. And while they're still experimenting with different roles for different maps, one thing is certain, that he will find a way to become one of the best oppers in the world, and quickly, as in the first 3 matches, he's already gotten 28 kills with the op, even out-dueling Kang Kang in the Africa TV Valorant League this offseason. What makes him even scarier is that he has a solid team around him that can pick up the slack, such as Saya player who can still play his Jet and Raze that he loves, giving T1 layers of firepower that few teams have. Pairing these 2 great Pacific oppers together will be crazy this season, as well as having the NA player Rossi joining the team, who previously played on TSM and FaZe, and most recently Turtle Troop. Overall, Xcrit will be one of the first new unknown players to the Valorant scene that'll quickly turn heads and become a fan favorite throughout Tier 1. Next, we move to the EMEA League towards the newest duelist for Team Liquid, Keiko, who after being the resident Jet player for the Apex team that was destined to win Ascension, but ultimately fell short in the Grand Finals. But prior to that, he had been bounced around different Tier 2 European orgs, consistently looking like a solid duelist compared to his competition, but really turned heads towards the end of last season, such as an average ACS of 238, one of the highest I've ever seen for a player over the course of an entire season, with only 1 game having him finish with more deaths than kills, with an insane KD of 1.4. Along with these fragging stats, he shows that he can also get it done in the clutch, as he finished off 10 1v2 situations in just 61 maps. Also, fun fact, he had 3 aces last year, with an impressive 16 4Ks. That's 1 4K in just over 60% of the matches last year. But ultimately, he was by far the best duelist in Tier 2 European Valorant all year, with him being a consistency machine with his performances, looking the same no matter who they played, except the last match of course. And with his team's 2nd place finish in the Ascension tournament, franchise teams were looking to scoop up the best pieces of the team. For Team Liquid, they decided they wanted to bring in both Keiko and his teammates Mystic and Enzo, who used to play on Fnatic in 2022. And with that, they joined 2 superstars in Yumpy and Nats. While a lot of pressure will be on him as the rookie duelist to find success for his team early, he has already proven in Tier 2 that he's the real deal and can keep up with the highest level of play. My only fear with him is that his last match against Gentle Mates was by far his worst game last year, and with that probably still in the back of his mind, there's some fear that it might follow him into big moments with Team Liquid this year, as Team Liquid was consistently fighting to not fumble when they were supposed to win matches. But isn't that the life of a Team Liquid roster anyways? Hopefully Keiko and his fellow Apex teammates can change that for both themselves and Team Liquid by winning big next season. But staying with the EMEA League, I wanted to dive into one of the players that actually upset Keiko's Apex. Gentle Mates' Sentinel Logan looks to be a key part in continuing this French org's Cinderella story and prove he belongs at the top of the esport. And when looking at his stats, it's clear he understands his role as a Sentinel, as he has a low amount of first deaths, as both the Sentinel and the Smokes player are the most important to keep alive for later in the round, as their utility just gets better and better the longer they're still available. He also had a high ACS and rating for a Sentinel player, always finding a way to pick up multiple kills in a round, with 159 multi-kills in only 43 maps, with 11 of those being 4Ks. Also, he was the most important member of the team to pull off the upset against the experienced Apex team, as he pulled off 18 multi-kills in the grand finals, as well as picking up the most kills for his team with a KD of 63-33, to send his team to the franchise league for the next 2 years. With him having almost the exact opposite of Kiko's concern, as his last game was his best yet, and he could ride this hot streak with the rest of his team and make a big splash as the Ascended team this year. But now, we get into a North American player that some of you might know from pre-franchising, but will now be making his franchise league debut this year. 100 Thieves EU. After finding some success with NRG between 2020 and 2022, he really came to his own as an initiator on M80, who was the runner-ups to the Guard in the America's Ascension tournament. Just like Kaiko, all the best players on M80 found spots in Tier 1 orgs, such as John QT joining Sentinels. But you have to look at his stats during his run towards the end of the season to really illuminate why 100 Thieves decided to bring him in as part of the roster rebuild, with him picking up about 3.5 multi-kills a map. And while he had a lower ACS than the other players we looked at, he's one of the most reliable in the clutch, picking up 12 1v1 victories, which in my research for this video, I could only find one player that picked up more, which I left for the end. And with that last stat, he provides 100 Thieves with something they desperately needed, which was a clutch initiator player, as Derek never really lived up to his cold-blooded legend that he molded in his breakout season of 2022, as the 6th worst clutch player last year at a 7.6% success rate, forcing them to move on from him. And not only does he provide 100 Thieves consistency in the clutch, but overall EU is a much more consistent player than both Derek and Stellar, providing 100 Thieves with some much needed stability for the roster that has a habit of sliding when things just aren't going their way. And with all that stacking up, EU looks to be the most anticipated new player in the Americas League, outside of the Guard/G2, which I'm not even putting on this list as everyone knows each of these players' journeys together to make it up to this point. I might even make a mini documentary about them sometime, so if you're interested in that, make sure you're heard by putting it down in the comments. But now we get to the final unknown player that'll dominate Tier 1 Valorant all season. That being Bleed's Scary. And before you get annoyed with me calling Scary unknown, he hasn't been in the worldwide Valorant consciousness since Xerxia's appearance in Masters Copenhagen and Champions during the end of the 2022 season. And for a lot of people watching Valorant this year, they won't remember the iconic run he helped orchestrate in the 2021 Champions tournament, where he, with X10, upset a peak Envy team as well as taking Gambit to a map 3. And all throughout that, Scary was the pivotal smokes player that would keep the team together in the tense spots. And last year, he probably could have found a franchise team to play on, but there have been reports that he was given a pretty good payday to lead Bleed to his Ascension spot, and that's exactly what he did, destroying their competition all year long, with Scary leading the way both as the team captain as well as a top fragger, as he led his team to a 23-2 record while sporting a 214 ACS. Along with that, he almost reached 1,000 kills with only getting 772 deaths. Lastly, I wanted to look at his clutch stats, with him ranked as the top clutch player in 1v1s, 1v2s, and 1v3s from the players I researched, with 6 successful 1v3s just being unheard of, with Calm getting the closest with 5 last year. Overall, Scary is scary. And with the addition of Ye, Bleed looks more insane and could possibly take wins off of the best teams in the region this year, which to me makes Scary the most anticipated new player to the franchise league this year. If you like this video, make sure you subscribed, as it really helps the channel out, as well as keeps you informed on all the Valorant videos I'll be posting all throughout the Pro Valorant season this year, so you don't want to miss out.